Blessed Shabbat, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth scattered greetings. This Shabbat lesson, we're going to title it Yahuah Calls Samuel. Yahuah Calls Samuel. It's a beautiful interaction with Yahuah, the Elohim of Yashael, with his servant Samuel as a boy, right? We're going to take the first reading, 1 Samuel 3, 1 to 11, 1611 KJV. That's 1 Samuel 3, 1 to 11, 1611 KJV. And the child Samuel ministered unto Yahuah before Eli, and the word of Yahuah was precious in those days. There was no open vision. And it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. And the lamp of Elohim, went out in the temple of Yahuah, where the ark of Elohim was. And Samuel was laid down to sleep. That Yahuah called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not. Lie down again. And he went and lay down. And Yahuah called yet again, Samuel, Samuel, arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son, lay down again. Now Samuel did not yet know Yahuah, neither was the word of Yahuah yet revealed unto him. And Yahuah called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that Yahuah had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Yahuah, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And Yahuah came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And Yahuah said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Yashael, at which both the ears of every one that heareth it shall tingle. Hallelujah. So in the foregoing chapter, we had Samuel, a young priest, though by birth a Levi only, for he ministered before Yahuah in a linen ephod. In this chapter, we have him a young prophet, which was more Elohim in an extraordinary manner revealing himself to him, and in him reviving, if not commencing, prophecy in Yashael, to make way for the accounts of Elohim revealing himself first to Samuel. We are here told, right, how Samuel was in serving Elohim according as his place and capacity were, right? That's in verse 1. The child Samuel, though but a child, ministered unto Yahuah before Eli. It was an aggravation of the wickedness of Eli's sons, that the child Samuel shamed them. They rebel against, right? They rebel against Yahuah, but Samuel ministered to him. They slighted their father's admonition, right? But Samuel was observant of them. He ministered before Eli under his eyes and direction. It was the praise of Samuel that he was so far from being influenced by their bad example that he did not in the least fall off, but improved and went on. And it was a preparative for the honors Elohim intended him. He that was thus faithful in a little was soon after entrusted with much more. Let those that are young be humble and diligent, which they will find in surest way to preferment. Those are fittest to rule who have learned to obey. How scarce a thing prophecy than was, which made the call of Samuel to be the greater surprise to himself and the greater favor to Yashael. The word of Yahuah was precious in those days. Now and then a man of Elohim was employed as a messenger upon an extraordinary occasion, right? But there was no settled prophets to whom the people might have recourse for counsel, nor for whom they might expect discoveries of the divine will. And the rarity of prophecy made in the more precious in the account of all those that knew how to put a right value upon it. It was precious. Hmm. For what there was, it seems, was private. There was no open vision. That is, there were none that were publicly known to have visions. Perhaps the impurity and impurity that revealed in the tabernacle and no doubt corrupted the whole nation had provoked Eliakim as a token of his displeasure to withdraw the spirit of prophecy till the decree had gone forth for the rising up of a more faithful priest. And then, as an earnest of that, this faithful prophet was raised up. The manner of Eliakim revealing himself to Samuel is here related very particularly, for it was uncommon. Eli had retired, Samuel had waited on him to his bed, and the rest that attended the service of the sanctuary had gone. We may suppose to their several apartments. Eli had laid down in his place. He went to betimes, being unfit for business and soon weary of it, and perhaps loving his ease too well. Probably he kept his chamber much, which gave his sons the greater liberty, and he sought retirement the more because his eyes began to wax dim, and affliction which came justly upon him for winking at his sons' faults. Samuel had laid down to sleep in some closest near to Eli's room as his page of the back stairs ready within call if the old man should want anything in the night, perhaps to read to him if he would not sleep. He chose to take Samuel into this office rather than any of his own family because of the towardly disposition he observed in him when his own sons were aggrieved to him. His little servitor was his joy. Let those that are afflicted in their children thank Elohim if they have any about them in whom they are comforted. Samuel had laid down ere the lamp of Elohim went out. It should seem he lay somewhere so near this holy place that he went to bed by that light, before any of the lamps in the branches of the candlestick went out, for the main lamp never went out, which probably was towards midnight. Till that time Samuel had been employing himself in some good exercise or other, reading and prayer, or perhaps cleaning or making ready the holy place, and then went softly to his bed. Then we may expect Elohim gracious visit. When we are constant and diligent in our duty, Elohim called him by name, and he took him for Eli's call, and he ran to him. Samuel lay awake in his bed, his thoughts no doubt well employed. As David, right? Let's look at David. Psalm 63, 6. Psalm 63, colon 6, 1611 KJV, brothers and sisters, right? Yes, brothers and sisters. So this is what King David said in Psalms 63, right? Colon 6. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches. Don't this sound familiar? This is exactly what Samuel was doing, meditate upon the Most High, right? On his bed. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? Samuel's readiness to wait on Eli, supposing it was he that called him. He hastened out of his warm bed and ran to him to see if he wanted anything, and perhaps fearing he was not well. Here am I, said he, a good example to servants to come when they are called, and to the younger, not only to submit to the elder, but to be careful and tender of them. Of his infirmity and unacquaintedness with the visions of the Almighty, that he took that to be only Eli's call, which was really the call of Eliakim. That's because, brothers and sisters, right? The young boy Samuel did not know the Most High yet. He did not know his voice to recognize that the Most High Yahuah is calling him. So that's why when the Most High called him 3 times, Samuel, 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 he thought that it was Eli was calling. This is how real the voice of the Most High was. As if an actual person was standing right next to you, calling you. Come here, come over here, John, come over here, Sue. You see what I mean? So you serve a living and awesome and terrifying Elohim, brothers and sisters. He have eyes to see, he has ears to hear, He has nose to breathe. He has mouth to speak. He has hands to lift. He has feet to walk, brothers and sisters. Right? In the person of Yahusha. Right? For Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, brothers and sisters. Right? Such mistakes as this we make oftener than we think of. Elohim calls to us by his word, and we take it to be only the call of the minister. You see that? A lot of you put emphasis and trust in the pastor, pork chop, and your priest and your imam, and you're not recognizing or understanding the voice, the call of the Most High Yahuah to do certain things, right? And answer it accordingly. He calls to us by his providence as we look only at the instruments. His voice cries, and it is but here and there a man of wisdom that understands it to be his voice. Eli assured him that he did not call him, yet did not chide him for disturbing him with being over officious, did not call him a fool and tell him he dreamed, but mildly bade him lay down again. He had nothing for him to do. If servants must be ready at their master's call, masters also must be tender of their servants. Comfort that the manservant and thy maidservant may rest as thou, may rest as well as thou. Right? So Samuel went and lay down. Elohim calls many of the ministry of the word, and they say, as Samuel did, here am I, but not looking at Elohim, nor discerning his voice in the call. Right? And that's true. You see all this corner church popping up all over the place, right? Telling you that Sunday is the day of worship, telling that the law is done away with, telling that the Most High gave a Christianity when he gave you the law, he did not give a religion. And many of you ran away with that because you do not know the voice of the Most High, neither do you care to recognize the voice of the Most High when he calls. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? So Samuel went and lay down. Elohim calls many by the ministry of the word, and they say, as Samuel did, here am I, but not looking at Elohim, nor discerning his voice in the call. The impressions of it are soon lost. They lie down again, and their convictions come to nothing. The same call was repeated, and the same mistake made a second and third time, right? In verses 6 and 9. Elohim continued to call the child yet again in verse 6, and again third time in verse 8. Note, the call which divine grace designed to make effectual shall be repeated till it is so. That is, till we come at the call. For the purpose of Elohim, according to which we are called, shall certainly stand. Samuel was still ignorant that it was Yahuah that called him. In verse 7, right, brothers and sisters? Samuel did not yet know Yahuah. He knew the written word and was acquainted with the mind of Elohim in that. But he did not yet apprehend the way in which Elohim reveals himself to his servant, the prophet. Okay, brothers and sisters, so Samuel was still ignorant that it was Yahuah that called him. Right in verse 7. Samuel did not yet know Yahuah. He knew the written word, and was acquainted with the mind of Elohim in that, but he did not yet apprehend the way in which Elohim reveals himself to his servant, the prophet, especially by a still small voice. This was altogether new and strange to him. Perhaps he would have been sooner aware of a divine relationship had he come in a dream or a vision, right? Right, brothers and sisters? So Samuel was still ignorant that it was Yahuah that called him. In verse 7, Samuel did not yet know Yahuah. He knew the written word and was acquainted with the mind of Elohim in that, right? In that sense, brothers, in that regard, right? But he did not yet apprehend the way in which Elohim reveals himself to his servant, the prophets, especially by a still small voice. This was altogether new and strange to him. Perhaps he would have been sooner aware of a divine relations had he, right, a divine revelation had he come in a dream or a vision. But this was a way he had not only not known himself but not heard of. Those that have the greatest knowledge of divine things must remember the time when they were as babes, unskillful in the word of righteousness. When I was a child, I understood as a child, yet let us not despise the day of small things. Thus did Samuel. So the margin reads it. Before he knew Yahuah, and before the word of Yahuah was revealed unto him, thus he blundered one time after another. But afterwards he understood his duty better. The witness of the Spirit is the heart of the faithful is often thus mistaken, by which means they lose the comfort of it, and the striving of the Spirit with the consciousness of sinners are likewise often mistaken, and so the benefit of their convictions is lost. Elohim speaketh once, yea, twice, but man perceiving not. Right? That's Job 33:14. Let's look at that, brothers and sisters. 1611 KJV. Okay, brothers and sisters, so turn your scriptures to Job 33:14, 1611 KJV, right? For Elohim speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. Right? The most I like to do things in 3s, 7s, 12, 40, 44, you know what I mean? Those numbers, 7, you know what I mean? Biblical numbers, brothers and sisters. Right? Samuel went to Eli this second and third time, the voice perhaps resembling his, and the child being very near to him. And he tells Eli with great assurance, Thou didst call me, in verse 6 and 8. It could be no one else Samuel's disposition to come when he was called, but by Eli proving him dutifully and active, qualified him for the favor now to be shown him. Elohim chooses to employ such, but there was a special providence in it, that he should go thus often to Eli, for hereby at length Eli perceived that Yahuah had called the child, in verse 8, and this would be a mortification to him, and he would apprehend it to be a step toward his family being degraded, that when Elohim had something to say, he should choose to say it to the child Samuel, his servant that waited on him, and not to him. And it would humble him the more when afterwards he found it was a message to himself, and yet sent to him by a child. He had reason to look upon this as a future token of Elohim's displeasure. This would put him upon inquiring what it was that Elohim said to Samuel, and would abundantly satisfy him of the truth, and certainly of what should be delivered, and no room would be left for him to suggest that it was but a fancy of Samuel's. For before the message was delivered, he himself perceived that Elohim was about to speak to him, and yet must not know that it was still he had it from Samuel himself. Thus even the infirmities and mistakes of those whom Elohim employs are overruled by infinite wisdom and made serviceable for his purpose. Eli, perceiving this, it was the voice of Elohim that Samuel heard, gave him instructions what to say in verse 9. This was honestly done, that though it was a disgrace to him for Elohim's call to pass him by and direct to Samuel, yet he put him in the way how to entertain it. Had he had been envious of this honor done to Samuel, he would have done what he would to deprive him of it, and since he did not perceive it himself, would have bidden him lay down and sleep, and never heed it. It was but a dream, but it was of a better spirit than to act so. He gave him the best advice he could, and that's wise, brothers and sisters, right? That's a very wise thing to do. He's guiding the young prophet, right? For the forwarding of his advancement, thus the elders should, without grudging, do their utmost to assist and improve the younger that are rising up, though they see themselves likely to be darkened and eclipsed by them. Right? Let us never be wanting to inform and instruct those that are coming after us. Right? And that's what's lacking in the black community. You know what I mean? A lot of elders die with wisdom and don't pass it on, especially of self and of scriptures, right? Of who they are as a people, brothers and sisters, right? Even such, right? Even such as will soon be preferred before us, right? Right? The instruction Eli gave him was when Eliakim called the next time to say, Speak Yahuah, for thy servant here. He must call himself Eliakim's servant. Must desire to know the mind of Eliakim. Speak Yahuah, speak to me. Speak now. And he must prepare to hear and promise to attend. Thy servant heareth. Note, then we may expect that Eliakim will speak to us when we set ourselves to hearken to what he says. Right? Let's look at Psalms 58 and 8. Right? So Psalms 58 colon A 611 KJV. I will hear what Eliakim Yahuah will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people and to his saints, but let them not turn again to folly. You see that, brothers and sisters? You gotta be still and listen and hear the voice of the Most High, brothers and sisters. Let's look at another scripture. Habakkuk 2 colon 1 1611 KJV. That's Habakkuk 2 colon 1 1611 KJV. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I'm reproved. You see that, brothers and sisters? Does it sound similar with Samuel? Right? Habakkuk 2 colon 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Right? When we come to read the word of Eliakim and to attend on the preaching of it, we should come thus disposed, submitting ourselves to the commanding light and power of it. Speak Yahuah, for thy servant hear it. It should seem that Eliakim spoke the fourth time in a way somewhat different from the other, though the call was as at other times a call to him by name. Yet now he stood and called, which intimates that there was now some visible appearance of the divine glory of Samuel, a vision that stood before him like that before Eliphaz, though he could not discern the form thereof. Right? Job 4 colon 16. Right? Let's look at that, brothers and sisters. So Job 4 colon 16. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying. Right, brothers and sisters? Right? This satisfied him that it was not Eli that called, for he now saw the voice that spoke with him, as it expressed, right, in Revelation 1 colon 12. Right? Now also the call was double Samuel, Samuel, as if Eliakim delighted in the mention of his name, or to intimate that now he should be made to understand who spoke to him. Eliakim had spoken once, twice have I heard this. That's in that's in Psalm 62 colon 11. It was an honor to him that Eliakim was pleased to know by name. Right? Right? So Eliakim had spoken once, twice have I heard this. Right? In Samuel 62 colon 11. It was an honor to him that Eliakim was pleased to know him by name. Right? Let's look at Exodus 33 colon 12. Exodus 33 colon 12. And Moshe said unto Yahuah, See, thou sayest unto me, Bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Right? So it's a beautiful thing when the Most I know you by name, brothers and says you look like his friend now. Right? That's why I keep saying, what is his name? And what is his son's name? If those can tell, the name is important, brothers and sisters. You got to know who you're worshiping. Right? Right. And when his call was powerful and effectual, when he called him by name, and so brought it particularly to him as Saul, Saul. He did it to Saul too. Thus Eliakim called to Abraham by name. Right? Genesis 22:1. You could see it. Right? Let's look at that. And it came to pass that these things that Eliakim did attempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. Right? Here I am. Right? Genesis 22:1. And it came to pass, right, after these things that Eliakim did attempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. Right? And we know that what Abraham is the friend of Eliakim. See? So once the Most High know you by name, you are his friend. Right? Samuel said, As he was taught, speak, for thy servant heareth. Note, good words should be put into children's mouth betimes, and apt expressions, right, of pious and devout affections, by which they may be prepared for a better acquaintance with divine things, and trained up to be a holy converse with them. Teach young people what they shall say, for they cannot order their speech by reason of darkness. Samuel did not know rise and run as before when he thought Eli called, but lay still and listened. The more sedate and composed our spirit are, the better prepared they are for divine discoveries. Let all tumultuous thoughts and passion be kept under, and everything be quiet and serene in the soul. And then we are fit to hear from Eliakim. All must be silent when he speaks. But observe, Samuel let out one word. He did not say, Speak, Yahuah, but only speak, for thy servant hear it. A way was made for the message he was now to receive. Samuel was brought acquainted with the words of Eliakim and his visions, brothers and sisters. So, it all ties up back with what the scripture said. Be still and know that I am Yahuah, I am Eliakim. Right? So there's power in silence, and it's power in just being still and being observant, brothers and sisters. So the Most High can direct you spiritually. You understand? There's power in silence, but sometimes you just have to keep your mouth shut. You understand? And see with your spiritual eyes. You understand? That's the problem in our community. We do not want to be still. We do not want to we do not want to observe with our spiritual eyes. We always want to use and seek the fleshly observation of things of this world. And the scripture tells us over and over, the things of the world is going to pass away. It's only temporary, brothers and sisters. But what is not temporary is your soul. You understand? Once we die and leave this body, your soul is going to be judged. It's going to be set apart to be judged, right? And to be put in the place where it's supposed to be, according to how you live your life on this earth, brothers and sisters. So I encourage you to get on this path of righteousness and self-knowledge and awareness of who you are as Judeans, right? Of who you are as children of Yashrael, whether we are scattered, right? We must come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. Right, brothers and sisters? I hope you learned something from Samuel's interaction with the Most High Yahuah. You understand? And in hopes that you can get the same intimate reaction and interaction from the Most High. Right? Blessed love and shalom.